Hello, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Hi, my name is Brian Lloyd. Welcome to this week's edition of Screenland. Kind of an interesting show this week. There's not a huge amount out, but guess what? I'm just gonna ramble anyway because that's what I do. First of all, I have to say I got the Spotify Wrapped stats back, and thank you to everybody who listened. Thank you to everybody who is subscribing. There is 25 of you that it's in the top 5 show, and I can. Do you know what? I probably know the 25 people personally. So, thank you is all I want to say. Thank you for listening. Thank you for enjoying the show. I hope you're enjoying the show as much as I'm enjoying making it. Okay, cool. Right, we've got that out of the way. Big film in cinemas is Eternity. This is directed by Dave Freyne, who previously did a zombie film that was set in Ireland that starred Elliot Page and Tom Von Lawler called The Cured, right? And if I can unburden myself for a minute, I'd like to tell you a little story. So, The Cured played at the Dublin Film Festival, and I did a Q&A with Dave and a few of the people who were, a few of the producers with it, right? And this, I mean, I don't get asked to do Q&As a lot, and I think this is the reason why. And it's just, you're listening to this and you're thinking, oh, he's well able to talk. Sure, yeah, he must be just so easy to do these kind of things and not at all awkward. Bullshit. I am so fucking awkward. I'm so socially awkward. I trip over myself all the times and I say stupid shit. Like how I am in a functioning marriage and, know people and I'm able to just, how do I exist? Anyways, so the Q&A, Dublin Film Festival, waiting in the green room in the Lighthouse, and I was introduced to everybody, and of course, I'm terrible with people's names. It goes in one ear and out the other, and there was a guy, and I was kind of like going through the rope line, shaking everyone's hand, like hi, yeah, hi, how are you? Yeah, enjoyed the film, really enjoyed it, da 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 da. And I got to this guy, and I said, oh, sorry, who are you? I just blurted it out because I was like trying to remember everyone's names because it was about to go to, and he said his name. I fucking forgot it now, and I said, "Oh, are you with the film?" And he said, "Oh, no, I'm not with the film." I was like, "Okay, you're nobody, right? Okay, grand." And then I said that, and I was like, "Oh fuck, why did I say that?" And he just kind of did this, and looked away, and I was like, "Oh god!" And I was like, then falling over myself. I was like, "God, I'm so sorry. I'm really, really sorry. Apologies." And then I was getting rushed into the screen. That has haunted me for the last 5-6 years, and I'm nearly certain the guy in question was Dave Freyne's partner. I think. So if by some happenstance somebody who knows Dave Freyne and is listening to this, if you can say it to him, I'm very, very sorry for saying that. I'm not. It was such a shitty. I was like, oh, so you're nobody. I was like, who the fuck? Who says that? Jesus. Oh, it still bugs me. It's one of those things that has bugged me for fucking for years. Awful. Anyways, what's not awful is Eternity. I loved this. This was so enjoyable. What's going on is Miles Teller, Callum Turner, were both married to Elisabeth Olsen. Miles Teller, as an older man, as like an 85-year-old, 90-year-old man, dies, right? Wakes up in this kind of halfway purgatory, I guess, whatever you want to call it, right? Where he gets to decide where he's going to be spending the rest of his afterlife with. And he gets there and he wakes up in his younger body. And Davine Joy Randolph, who you would know from The Holdovers, is his afterlife coordinator. And she basically gives him the lie of the land, says, look, listen, you can pick any one of these, but once you pick it, you have to stay there forever. And then he says, okay, well, I want to wait for my wife until she gets here, and then we'll decide. And he has to decide within a week, I think it is, or otherwise he'll have to stay in the purgatory, let's call it, until she gets there. And eventually, what happens is Elisabeth Olsen's older self dies as well, right? And she wakes up in purgatory, and she meets Miles Teller. She's like, oh my God, you're young. She's like, oh, I'm young. Oh God, oh God, oh God. But then Callum Turner, who was her first husband, who died in the Korean War, walks up to her, and it's all, oh God. And she's like, they're like, okay, you're going to have to decide who you're going to spend eternity with. Is it going to be your first husband or your second husband? And then it becomes this story about, you know, the love that you had maybe wasn't fully realised with Callum Turner. And it's like, okay, did that mean more to you than the one that you spent the rest of your life with? And it just becomes this whole kind of thing of like, it's really funny. Like, I mean, it's very, very funny. After he did The Cured, Dave Freyne went and did Dayton Amber, which I enjoyed a lot, which I thought was very, very funny. But this is on Eternity is on another. It's so funny. It's so smart. It reminded me a lot. There was an Albert Brooks film, in the I want to say like 90s. I want to say early 90s, with Meryl Streep, called Defending Your Life, which as soon as I got the gist of this, I was like, oh, so it's like Defending Your Life. It's kind of like it, but not really like it. And yeah, and it's you know, I was doing a thing on The Hard Shoulder earlier in the week talking about romantic comedies, and there was a point I didn't get to talk about enough. I would have could have talked more about, was the idea of, like, you know, rom-coms, you know, oh, are they dead, or, you know, is it, you know, are they coming back, or, you know, blah 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 blah. And what I've found myself is the most enjoyable romantic comedies I've seen in the last 5, 10, 15 years are the ones that are not only interrogating the romantic comedy as a genre, but are also kind of approaching it with a high concept. Because it's not enough to just have boy meets girl, girl falls in love, girl no longer falls in love, blah, 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 blah. There has to be something to it, because romantic comedies as a genre are so prodigious, right? But in this, you know, yes, it has a high concept idea, afterlife, blah, 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 blah. But really what it does, I think, is kind of gets you to kind of, it gets to this sort of thing of, you know, when were you the happiest in your life? Because that's a big thing in it, right? You wake up in the body that you were most happy at. And it comes a little bit of a hinge point in the story. And, you know, it makes you think, you know, when were you, you know, there's that great line in the US Office where I wish I knew when the good old days were, so I could have enjoyed them more, you know, that kind of way. And it's something that Eternity kind of goes into a little bit, is this idea of, you know, the best years of your life are actually happening. You just don't know it. And it was very well done. The production design was great. Miles Teller, I think, is a really strong comedic talent, and I don't think he gets enough credit for it. Same with Callum Turner. Callum Turner has very strong comedic sensibilities. Elisabeth Olsen, I'm not surprised. I mean, she can do anything. She really can do anything. Like, I think she has the versatility of Meryl Streep. You know, you can put her in an action movie, like, you know, your bog standard Marvel movie. You can put her in that, and she looks and sounds and just is great in it. Put her into a comedy like this, you know, fantastic. Put her into like a early Taylor Sheridan thriller, and she's brilliant in it. In fact, she's the best thing in it. So, yeah, seeing her in this, I'm like, great, fantastic. I really enjoyed this. I don't think this is kind of getting the same attention and love that it probably deserves, but when you see it, you really enjoy it. It's such an enjoyable film. And it has a lot of heart and it has a lot of depth to it. I really, really enjoyed this. It was so nice. And to see a smart comedy, a smart romantic comedy, but not be pretentious and not be smug about it, I thought was a breath of fresh air. Because like one of the things that annoyed me about Anyone But You, which is kind of like the rom-com people talk about of the last 2-3 years, you know, that felt so surface level to me. It felt so like we're going to get the most attractive people possible and put them in the sunniest place possible, and it's all going to be fluff. And it's like, no, you can have a romantic comedy that actually has something to say about the human condition and human relationships, and it means something and still be fucking hilarious. Because this film is like, there's one scene in it where most of the jokes are obviously relate to the afterlife, and it's like, what kind of afterlife you want. And like, there's one where it's like, would you like to go to Ireland without the potato famine? Come see Ireland without the potato famine. And then there's another one where it's like, man-free eternity, because you'll never have to deal with another man again. It's just like, you know. And then there's like Marxist heaven. It's very funny. It's just very, very funny. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was so funny. It was so Davina Joy Randolph, by the way. Jesus. Like, put her... I mean, I watched... Because we're in the season now, right? I watched The Holdovers again. I am loving the fact that The Holdovers is now becoming a mainstay of the Christmas period. I've seen that happen. That has been so satisfying to see people take that film to heart and it become a Christmas mainstay, like Muppet Christmas Carol or Die Hard or Scrooged. Yeah, but she's brilliant and she's great in this, and it's fantastic. So Eternity, go see it. I really, really enjoyed it. A film that has been in select cinemas and is going to Netflix this weekend is J. Kelly. Noah Baumbach is one of those directors where when he's good, right, he is brilliant. Marriage Story is the example I would use. That is a film that, you know, I mean, look, yeah, fine. I know it's been memed to death. And for reaction pics, like, you know, the bit with Scarlett Johansson crying or Adam Driver punching the wall. But, like, you know, when you see that whole scene in context, when you kind of get it, I mean, like, fuck, that is such a good film because it understands the stakes. It understands the capacity, just how much breaking up a marriage, breaking up a relationship, what that takes out of you. It really doesn't romanticize it in any way, shape or form, you know? And he is a director, I think, that has the tendency to romanticize stuff. And I think in J. Kelly, it is the most romanticized version of it. Yet, when I was watching it, it did kind of strike me that, okay, so what's going on in it is, George Clooney is J. Kelly. He's his actor who is just finished a film, is about to start another one, and decides that he wants to follow his daughter through Italy, because he feels like he doesn't have enough time with her. But as he's going along, he's going to be heading towards a film festival where they're going to do a retrospective on him. And he's thinking about his career, he's thinking about how he got his start. And all of this is kind of precipitated by this really kind of awkward scene with Billy Crudup. And Billy Crudup is an actor who I love. Almost Famous. Could talk about that film for hours. I have written about it extensively. That film ruined my life. Almost Famous ruined my life. I was supposed to be a solicitor. Now fucking look at me. Right? So, anyways. Yeah, so it's precipitated by the scene where he meets Billy Crudup's character, who was also an actor but is now a child psychologist. And they go for this awkward drink, and they're reminiscing over this director who first cast George Clooney in his first film, but he went to the audition with a younger Billy Crudup, and he got cast over him. And it's kind of held, this sort of thing has held over the careers of both of them, you know? And like, that's real right there. That's a really kind of, you know, I am sure for a lot of actors, and I know this from personal experience from people who have been creative and who've been in creative careers, and the careers have not panned out and they've had to go do something else. Like, you remember the moment where you knew it wasn't going to happen for you. And it's fucking horrible. And if you're there and you see it and you witness it, it's even worse. Because you're just like, oh God, I'm seeing their dreams being crushed in real time. And you kind of see it in this film as well. The audition scene. And again, it's horror. It's like, that's something that I think Noah Baumbach does very well, is he gets those moments where you can literally see the crumple zones of a soul, you know? But then it has this like saccharine, glossy, you know, really like fucking smug, up its own arse Hollywood bullshit veneer to it, where it's like, oh no, he's a good guy, and you know, like everyone loves him, and he's so gregarious, and it's this, and it's, you know, like, you know, the movie's meant something, man, and da 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 da, and you know, that level of self-congratulation, that level of, aren't we brilliant? It's us, the storytellers. That honestly turns my stomach. Babylon had it. Damien Chazelle's Babylon had it. And I walked out of Babylon because I had to go do radio. But also as well, it was just like, I hate this. This is going on way longer than it needs to, and it's just hammering the point. Now, Jay Kelly is not at that level of obsequiousness, but it's definitely there. And then, the last minute, not even the last minute, the last 30 seconds of this film, it didn't save it, right? It didn't save it, but it stuck with me. It stuck with me over everything else in this film. That ending stuck with me because the way that George Clooney did it felt so fucking real. And that's why he's a good actor. I saw that scene, that final scene in this film, and you really have to slog through this film to get to it. But when you see that thing, you're just like, oh shit. You're like, whoa, was that him? It was such a real moment because he looks right down the lens, right at you. And for a film that's so navel-gazing, to look out past its own self and look right at you, because that's what I really felt, it really got me. It really, really got me. To the point where I was like, okay, yes, I can look at this film and say, okay, this is partially based on George Clooney's life and career and, you know, the realities that people don't talk about being the most famous person, one of the most famous people in the world. Everyone wants a piece of you. Everyone is so pleased to see you. You were questioning the motivations of everyone around you. But then also as well is that, like, you like people and you like being around people, and who wouldn't want to be congratulated everywhere they go? And yet, you know, it never goes far enough into any of it, I felt. It does get to those kind of awkward inflection points, like especially, and I haven't even talked about Adam Sandler in this. Adam Sandler is the other part of this equation who plays his manager and stuff. But again, it's like that role could have been played by anybody. I don't necessarily know if Adam Sandler kind of, how do you say, distinguished himself enough. Because he's, okay, yeah, fine. He's meant to be the sort of the person behind the scenes and all the rest of it, and he is supposed to kind of play it down a little bit and da 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 da. But it's like, okay, if you're gonna do that, you know, why wouldn't you get somebody who, I don't know, can play that a bit more? It isn't as distracting, let's say. Not that he's being like all fucking Happy Gilmore or whatever, but like I was watching it and I was like, I can't get over the fact that that's Adam Sandler who's playing this kind of dialed back, you know, performance. You know what I mean? And it's not that he can't do that. Of course he can do that. Of course he can play dialed back and kind of insular and introverted and stuff. I'm not saying he can't do it. Of course he can do that. But it's like you could get 25 other people in that role that he plays in this, and they'd probably do something maybe not better, but different, you know, a different instinct or something. I don't know. Like, it was just, I just felt he was miscast. George Clooney, on the other hand, completely correctly cast. 100% not knocking that. All this is to say, I don't really know who this film is actually for, other than maybe George Clooney himself, you know, or Noah Baumbach, where it's a kind of a confessional moment for the pair of them, you know. But for everyone else, I mean, even for somebody like me who, you know, watches films and TV professionally and is very, very, like, on the furthest reaches of the periphery of the film industry, you know, and all of that. Even I was kind of like, this is a bit much. No, this is a bit, you know, like, really? I don't know. All of this is to say, I didn't necessarily enjoy this film, but for that last minute, for that last 10 seconds of this film, fucking hell, it got me. And you kind of have, this is what I'm saying to you, you have to trudge through it. And it has its moments. Laura Dern turns up in it. She's great. Of course she is. But, yeah, I don't know. Just too self-congratulatory. It was just too pat yourself in the back to be anything other than, I don't know, an odd blip. It's definitely going to get wiped out. If he gets nominated for Best Actor, that'll be it. It's not going to be in the running for anything, for sure. So that's Jay Kelly. I'm nearly certain it's on Netflix from Friday, but I will double check. But it's been in like select cinemas up until this point. Finally, I want to talk about this because I haven't. We're already into like the 6th episode, and I'm way late to this. But I wanted to mention this because I have been watching this for myself. I'm not watching this because I have to watch it. I'm watching this because I'm enjoying it, and that is a big vote of confidence. This is a recommendation, right? Pluribus. It's on Apple TV. Created by Vince Gilligan. Stars Rhea Seehorn. I'm really, really enjoying this so much, and I did not think I would. For one, you know, I like The Twilight Zone and I like Black Mirror, and I like, you know, even going back to The Outer Limits, right? I love the idea of a self-contained, weird story that is one story, that's it, beginning to end. This does have the vibe of a Twilight Zone, Outer Limits, Black Mirror kind of story. What's going on is Rhea Seehorn is a fantasy author who just really, like, it's so well done. She really resents the fact that it's popular, and she really resents her fans, but they are keeping her in a Land Rover and keeping her in a beautiful house in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And one day, out of nowhere, the entire world, and I mean literally the entire world, is taken over by this alien virus, which makes everyone suddenly part of a collective hive mind, and also makes everyone incredibly happy and joyful. And only 13 people have not been impacted by this virus. So what happens next? Well, that's obviously what the mystery is. Where does this all go from? What is it all about? Where did the virus come from? What does it mean for society at large? Who are the people who haven't been infected? What makes them special? And, you know, for 5 episodes, it's building up to, okay, this has got to mean something. Where is this coming from? What is actually happening? But really, and I'm into the 6th episode now, and really what I'm kind of getting is that this is not necessarily about what is happening so much as it is a character study of someone who is really just, you know, like so angry at everything and has no reason to be. Or at least we haven't got to that point yet where we know why they're angry, if that makes sense. And the way that Rhea Seehorn plays it is, I mean, I was not a big fan of Better Call Saul. I have to be honest. I felt it was really taking far too long to get going. Now, I remember I wrote a piece up saying this, and I got fucking slated for it. And the reason was that I was using Breaking Bad as the comparison, right? The point I was trying to make was that by the 4th season of Breaking Bad, this and this had happened. Yet in Better Call Saul, it seemed like nothing was happening. It just seemed like it was slowly trying to get to a point. Now, and I tapped out. Yet, I know I need to go back and watch Better Call Saul. I know I need to go back and watch that. And I had plans to, but then I said, you know what, Pluribus, I'll give this a go. Fucking hell, I'm glad I did, because I'm so enjoying it. It's weird. It's funny. It's dark as shit. I mean, it is so bleak. And yet so kind of, like, there's a real cleanliness to the way Vince Gilligan's shows work. You know, that kind of way. Like, there's real, like, he does this thing where he zeroes in on colours. Like, it's blue and it's yellow, or it's purple, or it's green. And because he kind of like blocks out the colours, it makes you then look at the composition, and it really gets you to look at the people in the scene. It's not something I think gets enough notice and appreciation in movies and TV generally, but especially with what he does here. I think it's so kind of clean and very kind of like noticeable, I think. I've just watched the last episode, which is episode 6, and yeah, I'm really excited. I need to know what happens next. I'm invested in it. So if you're looking for a new TV show to watch, I would heartily recommend Pluribus. I really enjoyed it, and I think if you've enjoyed any kind of sci-fi conspiracy, because you forget as well, he started off in the X-Files. So like, if you have like kind of sci-fi mystery, whatever you want to call it, definitely give it a look. It is absolutely worth a watch. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Next week, I think, is Avatar Fire and Ash week. And then a week after that, then we're going to have the 10 best movies of the year. Then a week after that, then we're going to have the 10 worst movies of the year. And then we will start season 2 of Screenland. Nothing's going to change. It's just season 2. It's the end of the year, new season. So, so there we go. Okay. Thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. If we came up on your Spotify Wrapped, thanks again for that. And okay, see you next time. Cheers.